Okay, we're going to start talking about the cranks and the crank rail, which this is, and how to make the cranks and how to make the holes in the rail. The best way to make the holes in the rail is to put the rails back to back. They're 25mm by 25mm by about 2mm, and if you back them up you can then put the holes in exactly the same place on both rails, and you don't have too much of a problem with lining up your cranks. Make sure everything's nice and square. Make sure it all fits. It's all level. Everything's in line. This makes it a whole lot easier. Okay, we'll just take these clamps off. You'll see there's a lot of holes in this because I've made a slight mistake there, so I've had to put some more holes in to adjust what I've done. What you need to do is find out your distances between each crank, and then you can then make the holes. Don't forget to allow on the cranks for the levers when you're lining up the foot pedals. We'll go into that in a minute, but it's just if you're lining everything up, you need a starting point. Now the starting point, as far as I can see, in my opinion, is you should always start from somewhere that's going to be constant, which is the roller nut holes. This is where the roller nut is screwed onto the body with a hex bolt, or whatever you like, 4mm. If you work from there, you can then work back to see where you're going to start. Normally the pedals start about 1.5 to 2 inches if you look straight up and down from the hex bolt that holds the nut. So that means to say that your first hole will be quite tight up against this block. This block that you can see on the end, this is there to support, because the machine head block that I've cut into the top side of the body is all one piece. It's leaving it just a little bit on the thin side for my liking, so I always put a block in, and this also will support your rails. When you put your rails on, it will all help keep it all nice and firm. This rail also keeps the body stiff to a certain extent. Although we use hardwood, this will keep the body stiff as well, because you put screws in all the way back, and that will also keep the body nice and firm, so there's no flexibility, no flex there at all. Okay, you need to undo this now that I've got the holes where I think I might need them. Nothing's perfect in this world, and I'm the same as everybody else. So what we've done is we take the clamps off, and you can see that these are back to back. So what I need to do is put that one over this side and this one over this side, and I've already drilled holes just to make screwing a little bit easier. So we'll just do that now. We'll put the screws in. I'll probably cut away so I can do that. It's a bit boring. If you have actually made a shape to give yourself your fretboard area, and you've dropped it down a bit at the back, be careful not to have the screws too long so they come up through. We don't want screws. We don't want to see screws in there. So be sure that you get the right size screws, or even cut them off so that they don't come up through the wood. And that goes for anywhere on the guitar, really. This principle of back-to-back drilling also goes for your when you make your changer, the two plates on the side of the changer, you'll do the same with that. You'll put back to back so that you get exactly the same place for the holes in both changer plates on the sides. And also you've obviously done that with your pickup as well. Okay, I'll just put the screws in and on here, and then we will go on then to the actual changers themselves. Before you start assembling the cranks on your pedal steel guitar, you'll need to know which cranks pull which pull bar. Now this is going to get a little bit complicated now, but if you go to Wikipedia on the internet, and if you put in E9 tuning pedal steel guitar, a page will come up that will show you how you have to tune your guitar, and it will show you pedal 1, pedal 2, pedal 3, knee lever left, and that's for a raised knee lever. I don't bother with that, but it's quite easy to put on if you want to put it on. You get left knee lever right, that's for the knee lever. Okay, and that is right knee lever left, and right knee lever right. So that's for your 4 knee levers. I hope that's not too complicated for you, but you can see that on Wikipedia if you want to have a look at that. And that's for the E9 tuning, which will be 3 pedals and 4 knee levers. Once you've got that down and printed off, you can then see which pedals need to have a lever, a crank, and where to place the crank. If you can see this, I'll just get a pen, that'll make it easier. If you see on this one, on the pedal 1, you can see that the strings that need to be pulled are the 10th string and the 5th string. Now your actual crank will need to be exactly in the middle between the two. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2. So your crank will need to be on the body of the guitar, just there, and that works with all the knee levers. Pedal 2 as well is string number 3 and string number 6. So you need to put your crank somewhere between 4 and 5, and I'll explain why you have to do that. It's because you move two strings with 1 lever on the crank. Okay, and that's the same right across for all your, and that's called a copa dent. So if you go on there, E9 tuning, Wikipedia, E9 tuning, copa dent for a pedal steel guitar, that will come up, and you will be able to print it off and be able to work it out for yourself. But always remember that the crank that you put on your guitar will be between the 2 strings. So that's why it's wise to find the center of your actual guitar where your strings are going to be, and then you can work out how to do that. It's dead easy, really. Okay, the crank is made up of a 6mm round bar, and once you've worked out where your where your crank is gonna be, you can put an indent actually in the middle of the 6mm. I've put a 4.5mm indent. It's quite easy to do. All you need to do is get your punch and make an indent on the bar, and then put it under your stand drill and just drill in a little bit, and that will just bite a 4mm piece of stud, which I'll show you in a second. And your cranks will be made from 10mm square, and this is the crank. Okay, you can see there's a 4mm threaded hole in the top. This is to keep it where it's meant to be. There's a 6mm hole through there. I've cut away the lever like that, and you can put a 4mm hole possibly, or even smaller, depending on the size of your pull rods. So you can put a hole in the end there, and that's about 1 inch, 25mm between the two holes, centres. Okay, you assemble this onto your pedal steel. You'll need to do it as you put it on the guitar. This is actually the connection lever for your pedals. There's 3 and they're much the same. Once I've made them, I always label them up so you can see what you've got. Okay, so what you do is you put that through the hole with your indent that you've made through there, and wind it on, hopefully. There you are. You cut off a little piece of studding or a small nut bolt, and just so that it all sits nice and tight together like that. That's locked on firmly now. So now we need is at right angles. We put the other one on at right angles, so that when the lever's in place, this one in the middle, which is in line between the two strings that are being pulled in the centre of it, you put a piece of studding or a small 4mm bolt, and that's it. That's how you do it. But this doesn't go on until it's actually going onto the rail. So we'll do that now. We also need to put a washer onto this. This stops it chaffing against the side of anything. Okay, you can see we've got the three pedals cranks on at the moment now, and if you can see that they're actually slightly offset, so they don't actually clash, so that when the rods come from these cranks and come forward, they won't interfere with each other. And that's the same thing that's going to happen now with your knee levers.